Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're embarking on a really fascinating deep dive. We're looking into the dynamic world of Nepal's digital payments landscape.
And we're doing it through the lens of a true pioneer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This isn't just about one company, though. This presentation, it really explores a significant economic event, something with lasting effects on Nepal's whole financial and policy environment. We're talking about how a key player, eSewa, navigates its incredibly complex and rapidly evolving marketing environment, how they stay right at the forefront of the fintech revolution there.
Yeah, what's fascinating here, I think, is how those solid principles of environmental scanning, that systematic process of understanding everything around a business,
right?
How that just comes to vivid life in a market like Nepal's digital economy, which is changing so fast. We'll be trying to connect the dots, really, between these sort of global business concepts and the very specific local impacts, showing you precisely how a company like eSewa manages to, not just survive, but actually thrive amidst all this constant, often unpredictable change.
It sounds like a masterclass in agility.
It really is.
So our mission today, it's not just to skim the surface. We want to dig for those golden nuggets of insight, the ones tucked away in the material you've shared with us.
Yeah.
Think of it as your fast-track pass, really, to grasping the electrifying forces shaping digital finance in Nepal. Get ready for some genuine head nodding, maybe some aha moments, because this is a story of, audacious innovation, critical regulation, and incredibly rapid adoption by a whole nation.
Absolutely. And for those of you listening who want to dive even deeper into the source material yourselves, you can access the original presentation files, all the supporting materials on our official academic platform SlideGround, and also on our SlideShare account. The links for those are readily available in the bio of this account. We really do encourage you to explore them after our chat today.
So, to really get a grip on eSewa's journey and, understand why they've been such a transformative force, we first need to lay some groundwork. What exactly is a marketing environment?
Right.
It might sound a bit like dry business jargon, maybe, but it's actually quite intuitive.
Yeah.
And fundamentally crucial.
It really is. At its core, the marketing environment, it covers all the factors, both ones inside a company's control and those far outside it. That influence its marketing activities, its ability to connect with customers.
Okay, so think of it like a company's entire ecosystem.
Exactly. On one side, you've got the internal factors.
Yeah.
These are the things a company can directly manage, adjust.
Like what?
Well, think about eSewa's own employees, their marketing team, the company's big goals, even its specific corporate culture. These are levers they can pull, right? Strategies they deploy from within.
Got it.
But our focus today, and where the real dynamism is for eSewa, it's on the external environment. This is where the world interacts with the business.
Okay.
And it's typically broken down into two main layers, the microenvironment and the macro environment.
Right, micro and macro. So this immediately brings up a question, doesn't it? Why do companies like eSewa need to scan this environment so intensely?
Good question. It's much more than just sort of passively knowing what's out there.
Right.
This scanning, it's an active thing. It's continuous, highly strategic. It helps a business proactively understand changes as they actually emerge.
So spotting things early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Identify potential opportunities for growth before competitors even see them. And maybe most critically, recognize those looming threats that could impact their operations, their market position, maybe even their existence.
That makes sense.
Think about it. In these super fast-paced sectors like fintech, where technology evolves almost daily, consumer behavior shifts like constantly, and regulations can change without much warning. Continuous environmental scanning isn't just a good idea. It's the absolute bedrock for survival, for sustainable growth.
It's essential.
Absolutely essential. Without this constant vigilance, a company could become irrelevant, like overnight, blindsided by a competitor, or fall victim to some unforeseen regulatory challenge. It's all about building and maintaining that agility, that responsiveness in what is, let's face it, a highly volatile and unpredictable market.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about eSewa itself, the company at the heart of our deep dive.
The pioneer?
Exactly. For millions in Nepal, eSewa isn't just a digital payment platform. For many, eSewa is digital payment. It holds this absolutely foundational, significant place in the country's ongoing economic transformation. So from the information you've provided, eSewa stands out as Nepal's first digital wallet and online payment gateway. That makes them a true pioneer, no question.
They didn't just join the wave, they helped create it.
Precisely. launching way back in 2009, which means they've been at this for, well over a decade now, constantly adapting, innovating, growing alongside Nepal's digital landscape.
A long time in tech terms.
Definitely. It was founded by Asghar Ali and Biswas Takal, visionaries, clearly. They saw the potential for digital finance in Nepal long before it became the reality we see today.
They saw the future.
And a really crucial milestone, something that underlines their legitimacy and regulatory backing, was getting their license from the Nepal Rashtra Bank, that's the central bank.
Right, the NRB.
Yes. And the date might look unfamiliar to some listeners. 2073 SR 3rd, that's according to the Nepalese Bikram Sambat calendar. And it signifies that official recognition, the regulatory approval, a foundational moment, really vital for any financial service to operate legitimately in Nepal.
Absolutely critical for trust.
And the scale of their impact, it's truly impressive. We're talking about a company that now boasts an astonishing user base, over 6 million individuals.
Wow, 6 million.
And a vast, ever-expanding network of more than 300,000 merchants.
That's huge reach.
It's an enormous footprint, touching millions of lives daily. This phenomenal reach, it solidifies their position not just as a participant, but as a, quote, key player in Nepal's fintech ecosystem.
No exaggeration there.
They are, without a doubt, a foundational pillar of the modern Nepali economy. They've built this profound level of trust and convenience for millions.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, Isewa's early entry and its subsequent, really sustained growth, it just illustrates the immense transformative potential of digital solutions in emerging economies like Nepal. Their journey, it's not just a business success story. It offers this fantastic real-world example of navigating these complex environments, often lacking infrastructure, often unpredictable.
Right.
It's a powerful case study in how local innovators, people with a keen understanding of their own market, can bridge significant gaps and dramatically accelerate financial inclusion. They're effectively helping create a new digital economy almost from the ground up.
It's about more than just transactions, then.
Oh, absolutely. It's about access, empowerment. It reflects a much broader societal shift towards digital adoption.
Okay, let's zoom in now. Let's talk about the microenvironment. These are the close, everyday factors that directly, immediately impact Isewa's marketing activities, their operations.
Their immediate neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Think of it like their immediate neighborhood, the specific individuals, the entities they interact with daily, maybe even hourly. This layer, it's where they face their most direct challenges and opportunities, right?
Definitely. The microenvironment consists of several key players, and these are the factors directly affecting daily operations marketing efforts.
And what really stands out from the material is the emphasis that customers, they are, without a doubt, the most important part of this microenvironment.
Absolutely central.
For Isewa, this means that they absolutely have to understand their core needs. And these aren't just bells and whistles, are they?
No. It boils down to fundamental requirements. Things like safety of funds, the speed of transactions, and just the sheer ease of use.
Basics, but critical basics.
Totally. Customers want assurance their money's secure. Transactions happen instantly without a hitch, and the whole process is straightforward, intuitive, user-friendly.
This emphasis on customer needs, it really highlights the consumer-centric nature of digital services, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. In a fiercely competitive market, a company like Isewa lives and dies by its ability to consistently meet and ideally exceed these customer expectations.
So what stands out to you when you think about how Isewa has to continually adapt, especially considering that massive, varied user base they serve?
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
You've got tech-savvy urban youth, but also maybe people in remote rural areas, perhaps new to digital transactions entirely.
It's a constant balancing act, isn't it? You have to cater to such a wide spectrum. It requires this tremendous adaptability, continuous refinement.
For sure. And speaking of adapting, competition, Isewa certainly isn't alone here.
Not at all.
The digital payment landscape in Nepal, it's vibrant, dynamic, increasingly crowded. They need to constantly watch other companies offering similar stuff, not just react, but anticipate.
Stay one step ahead.
Exactly. The material specifically names Kulti, IME Pay, and even the traditional bank apps as main rivals.
Right.
And each of those brings its own strengths, competitive advantages, strategic approaches. They're constantly pushing Isewa to innovate, differentiate.
It's a high-stakes competitive dance.
Definitely. Okay, next up, suppliers. Now, for a digital service like Isewa, these aren't your traditional suppliers of physical goods, right?
No, it's different. They're the providers of crucial services, fundamental infrastructure that underpin Isewa's whole operation.
Like what kind of services?
Well, think about network security companies. Absolutely vital to ensure data and transactions are safe from hackers.
Critical.
Then there are software providers who build, maintain, update their platforms, their apps. And beyond that, a whole host of other vendors support their operational needs. Data analytics tools, customer support systems, you name it.
So their service quality is directly tied to these suppliers.
Directly. Any hiccup in that supply chain can ripple outward to their entire user base. It's a dependency.
Okay. Then we come to market intermediaries. What role do they play?
These are the critical bridges, really. They help ESOA effectively reach its final customers, facilitate the smooth flow of services. They're like extensions of ESOA's own network.
Okay. So who are they for ESOA?
For ESOA's, the most vital intermediaries are their huge network of agents and merchants.
Agents. How do they work?
Agents play a really crucial role, especially for financial inclusion. They handle cash-in and cash-out services. This makes digital payments accessible even for people without direct bank accounts.
Right, bridging that gap.
Exactly. And merchants, well, they're the countless businesses, small shops, large retailers that accept ESOA for payments. They fundamentally expand its utility across the whole economy.
Without them, the reach wouldn't be the same.
Severely limited, yeah.
And finally, within this microenvironment, we have what the material calls the public. What does that mean here?
It's not just the general population. It includes any specific group or segment that can significantly influence ESOA's image, its reputation, maybe even its license to operate.
So beyond customers and competitors.
Right. It's about the broader societal perception and influence. The material highlights that for ESOA, key publics are incredibly important.
Such as?
Well, the government itself, which shapes regulations, the media, which influences public opinion massively, for better or worse, and local opinion leaders, who can sway community trust and adoption.
So managing relationships with all these groups is key.
Absolutely crucial. For maintaining a positive brand image, securing their operating license, and ensuring continued public acceptance. You can't ignore the publics. Okay, so if the microenvironment is ESOA's immediate neighborhood,
right,
the macroenvironment is like the entire city, or even the country's overall climate. These are the big external forces, much larger in scope.
And crucially, not controllable by the company itself, right?
Exactly. They represent these overarching, powerful trends that shape the entire business landscape for everyone, not just ESOA. And ESOA just has to adapt to them.
Anticipating seismic shifts, not just daily tremors.
Well put, yeah. And to systematically analyze these powerful, often unpredictable forces, businesses often use the PESTLE framework.
PESTLE.
Right, let's break that down.
Sure. PESTLE is an acronym, stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental.
Okay.
It's a comprehensive, systematic way to make sure a company considers all the major external trends and factors that could impact its operations, its strategy, its future growth, helps avoid blind spots, build a more resilient strategy.
Okay, let's unpack the political side first. How deeply is the government's hand woven into digital payments in Nepal, and specifically for ESOA?
It's deeply influential. The information points to several key things. First, there's broad, overarching government support for digital payments and, critically, for financial inclusion.
So a favorable climate. Inherently favorable, yes. It's almost like a national mandate, pushing digitization forward.
But it's not just blanket support, is it?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
There are specific, often detailed regulations from the Nepal Rashtra Bank, the NRB.
The central bank again.
As the central bank, NRB sets the rules for all financial services, including digital wallets. These rules directly dictate how ESOA operates, services, limits, data handling, everything.
And political stability matters too, I assume.
Hugely. Consistent government policies provide a predictable environment for long-term investment and growth. Instability brings uncertainty.
Makes sense.
And finally, cybersecurity laws, broader digital policy frameworks, these are becoming increasingly sophisticated and important. They shape how ESOA handles data protection, protects users.
It sounds like a constant tightrope walk between innovation and compliance.
That's a very good way to put it, yeah.
Okay, moving to economic factors. How do Nepal's specific economic trends impact ESOA?
Well, what's fascinating here is how directly these trends hit ESOA's operations. Nepal's economy has some unique dynamics that are actually a real boon for digital payments.
Like what?
For instance, the growing digital economy itself provides incredibly fertile ground. It shows this broader, irreversible shift away from cash.
Right.
And a really significant factor, almost like a supercharger for transactions, is the high level of remittance inflows into Nepal.
Remittances, huge for Nepal.
Massive. And it's not just a statistic. It translates directly into a huge volume of transactions within the country, as recipients often use platforms like eSiwa to manage or spend that money.
I see.
Plus, broader things like inflation, interest rates, they subtly affect consumer spending, which influences how much flows through digital wallets.
And government initiatives.
Absolutely. The government's active financial inclusion initiatives aren't just policies on paper. They aim to bring millions more into the formal financial system, vastly expanding eSiwa's potential user base. It aligns perfectly with their mission.
Okay, let's talk social factors. The people aspect. This seems like a powerful tailwind for eSiwa. What are the key societal shifts driving its growth?
It's huge, you're right. The material highlights several profound trends. First, just the accelerating increase in smartphone and internet penetration across Nepal.
More people getting connected.
Exactly. It's not a slow trickle. It's a widespread embrace of technology, making digital services inherently more accessible to way more people.
And the younger generation.
Hand in hand with that tech adoption, you see the rise of this young, inherently tech-savvy population. They aren't just early adopters. They're digital natives. They're comfortable with and often prefer digital transactions.
So they naturally gravitate towards platforms like eSiwa.
They do, for the convenience, the speed, the integrated services, and maybe most crucially, there's this growing trust in digital platforms.
Trust is key.
Absolutely. The information specifically points to this growing trust post-COVID. The pandemic kind of inadvertently accelerated the adoption of contactless and digital payments out of necessity.
Right, people had to adapt.
And now, that solidified their place in everyday life. People are moving beyond skepticism towards reliance.
Okay, on to technological factors. This raises a big question. How does a company like eSiwa actually keep up with the breakneck pace of tech change?
Yeah, that's arguably the most dynamic, most disruptive aspect for any fintech company. The continuous, relentless rise of fintech innovations means eSiwa has to constantly update services, invest in core infrastructure, evolve its offerings just to stay competitive, let alone lead.
It never stops.
Never. We also see this deep integration with mobile banking. It means eSiwa needs seamless compatibility, often strategic partnerships with traditional banks, to offer a complete financial ecosystem.
And cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity advancements aren't just nice-to-haves, they're an existential necessity.
Yeah.
As more money flows digitally, the threats evolve just as fast. It demands constant, significant investment in security.
Makes sense.
And fundamentally, their entire operation depends completely on reliable internet and mobile networks across the country. Robust infrastructure is absolutely critical for consistent service delivery. Any outage is a major problem.
Right, okay, legal factors. These seem paramount in finance.
Even more so, arguably. Beyond just rules, these are specific legal frameworks that rigorously govern eSiwa's operations.
Like the NRB licensing we talked about.
First and foremost, yes. Being licensed by the NRB means strict adherence to every regulation to maintain legitimacy. It's their foundation.
What else?
Then there are critical requirements like KYC, Know Your Customer, legally mandated verification of client identity.
To prevent fraud and stuff.
Primarily, yes. Prevent illicit activities. Closely related are AML anti-money laundering regulations designed to stop financial systems being used for illegal purposes. Transparency, accountability.
And data protection. That must be huge now.
Increasingly crucial. eSiwa handles immense amounts of sensitive user financial data. So ironclad compliance with data protection and privacy laws isn't just a legal obligation, it's fundamental for building and maintaining user trust.
Trust, again, it keeps coming back to that.
It's their most valuable asset.
Finally, ESO, environmental factors. This might seem less obvious for a digital company.
It's more nuanced, yeah, but still plays a role. For example, there's a growing global push for paperless transactions.
Which aligns perfectly with eSiwa.
Perfectly. By promoting digital payments, they contribute directly to eco-friendly practices. Less cash, less paper, lower carbon footprint than traditional banking.
That's a good point. They have a lower impact generally.
Inherently, yes. Compared to traditional banks with branches, energy use, cash transport, eSiwa's footprint is much lower. That positions them well in an environmentally conscious world.
But they're not totally immune.
Not entirely. You have to consider the occasional impact of natural disasters on digital infrastructure. An earthquake or flood can disrupt the internet and mobile networks they rely on, affecting service.
Yeah.
So even a digital company isn't completely separate from the natural world.
Okay, so eSiwa knows all these complex factors exist, micro and macro. But how do they actively scan them? What's their method?
Right, how do they do it?
Yeah. The material you provided lays out this clear, surprisingly structured, and crucially ongoing 5-step process.
And ongoing is the key word there.
Absolutely. It's not a one-off annual thing. It involves monthly reviews, using live dashboards to track metrics, robust feedback loops. It's continuous improvement.
Keeping their finger on the pulse constantly.
Exactly, which gives them a real competitive edge. So step 1 in this iterative process is pure observation.
Just watching.
Just watching. But what are they watching specifically? The info indicates active monitoring of broad market behavior, how people transact, what's gaining traction. They keep a close eye on policy changes from the government and NRB, and of course, tracking emerging tech trends.
Makes sense.
More specifically, observing NRB guidelines meticulously, tracking user trends within their own app to understand engagement, and keeping a keen eye on competitor activity.
Like digital anthropologists.
Yeah. And for tools, they don't just guess. They use news platforms, fintech forums, sophisticated analytics tools built into their systems to gather these initial observations.
So observation leads directly to step 2, information collection. This is where the raw material for insights comes from, turning observations into actual data.
Right.
ESOA diligently collects data from multiple sources. Direct user feedback, active social media monitoring, invaluable for real-time customer sentiment, pain points, needs.
It's hearing directly from users.
Crucial. They also rigorously pull data from official NRB and government sources, critical for staying on top of regulations, economic policies.
Keeping compliant.
And they proactively look at market research reports, fintech industry analyses to understand broader global trends that might hit Nepal eventually.
So how do they manage all this data?
They don't just store it. They use sophisticated CRM systems, conduct targeted surveys, employ trend analysis tools to organize it, categorize it, start making sense of it all, turning noise into signals.
Okay, so collecting data isn't enough. You have to make sense of it. That brings us to step 3. Analysis.
Where the magic happens.
This is where ESOA processes the information, looks for patterns, correlations, strategic implications. A key part of their toolkit is identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats.
SWOT analysis. SCLASS.
Exactly. SWOT. Allows them to assess their internal capabilities against those shifting external factors. Gives them a snapshot of their strategic position.
What else do they analyze?
They rigorously evaluate customer behavior, transaction patterns, feature usage, satisfaction levels. Critically, they also assess their compliance status constantly, making sure they're operating legally, mitigating risk.
And the goal of all this analysis?
It's all about helping them prioritize key strategic areas, where to invest resources effectively, which pain points to fix first, where to focus for maximum impact and growth.
Got it. Analysis helps understand the present. But for a company like ESOA, that leads to step 4, forecasting, trying to predict the future.
Which raises that question again. How accurate can these predictions really be in such a volatile market?
Yeah, it's tough. Despite the uncertainty, ESOA aims to predict future market trends and demand, anticipating not just what services users might need next, but how the broader digital economy might evolve.
How do they do that? Gut feeling.
Not just gut feelings. They engage in sophisticated scenario planning, considering different possibilities like, say, the continued exponential growth of mobile banking. This helps them prepare for various potential futures, build resilience.
Planning for different outcomes.
Exactly. Plus, they continuously assess regulatory risks, trying to foresee potential law changes and cybersecurity risks, predicting new types of digital threats. This foresight lets them build protective measures before a crisis hits. Proactive, not reactive.
Okay, so the whole point of all this scanning isn't just gathering data or predicting trends. It's ultimately about
Action.
Wait. Step 5. This is where insights translate into tangible strategic moves, where they do something with the information.
A payoff.
What kind of actions result from this? The material gives concrete examples, launching new features like QR payments, which became hugely popular in Nepal,
Very convenient.
forming strategic partnerships with banks, other services to expand their ecosystem, reach new customers, enhance offerings,
Building a network.
and of course, constantly updating compliance protocols and security measures, responding directly to new regulations, emerging cyber threats, shifts in user behavior. It's this dynamic cycle. Learn, adapt, act decisively.
This 5-step model, it isn't just abstract theory. It's a living, practical framework ensuring proactive strategies. It's precisely how ESOA stays so agile and responsive in a market defined by rapid change. Systematically moving from observing to collecting info, analyzing, forecasting, and finally acting. They translate raw insights into sustained competitive advantage. It's a remarkably well-oiled machine, a masterclass in modern strategy.
Okay, let's tie this all together then. Why is this continuous, almost obsessive environmental scanning so incredibly important for ESOA's ongoing success, their leadership in Nepal's digital economy?
Yeah, why does it matter so much?
The core benefit, as the material highlights, is it fundamentally helps them identify trends, pinpoint opportunities, and proactively recognize threats. It's like having the sophisticated real-time radar system.
Giving them a clear picture of their surroundings.
Exactly. Near and far. First, and maybe most vitally, it's about profoundly understanding customer needs.
Back to the customer.
Always. Continuous scanning lets ESOA understand not just what customers want today, but how expectations are constantly changing.
As users get savvier.
Right. Demands evolve, more sophisticated features, faster speeds, smoother integration. By consistently scanning and listening, ESOA can design and refine services that truly meet these evolving preferences, keep their offerings relevant, desirable.
Which builds trust and loyalty.
Absolutely fundamental for that. Without that deep customer insight, even the best product can quickly become obsolete.
And competition, as we've said, is fierce. This is where strategic advantage is really gained.
This is the battleground. Environmental scanning lets ESOA monitor competitor moves precisely product launches, pricing, marketing, partnerships.
Knowing what the rivals are up to.
And this intelligence isn't just for reacting. It proactively enables ESOA to innovate faster, better, develop superior features or services that outpace rivals.
So they maintain that leadership position.
Exactly, ensuring they don't just react to the market, but actively shape it. They're setting the pace, not just running the race.
Makes sense. And compliance, you mentioned it's non-negotiable.
Absolutely non-negotiable in finance. It's the bedrock of trust. Environmental scanning is critical for ESOA to meticulously follow every rule.
Staying updated with NRB regulations especially.
Which change frequently, right? To address new risks, promote policies, respond to global trends. By constantly monitoring these shifts, ESOA ensures standards are always met precisely.
Avoiding penalties, safeguarding their reputation.
Critical. This proactive compliance isn't just about avoiding fines. It's vital for building credibility with regulators and, crucially, their millions of customers.
And beyond defense, scanning is also about offense, finding new growth avenues.
Yes, it's about proactively finding new, fertile ground. This continuous analysis helps ESOA identify genuine gaps in the market, underserved areas or needs.
Spotting opportunities.
Spotting opportunities to expand into new sectors, maybe specialized services for small businesses, or extending reach into more remote rural areas.
Bringing digital payments to more people.
And it facilitates strategic partnering with new businesses, new services, expanding their ecosystem, creating new revenue streams. This forward-looking perspective is key to their long-term growth, cultivating future markets.
Okay, so the material highlights specific tools ESOA uses to handle all this uncertainty. These aren't just buzzwords, right? They're practical frameworks.
Vital, practical, analytical frameworks that help them make tangible sense of this complex environment we've been dissecting. Let's look at their SWOT analysis, straight from the source. First, internal strength.
What do they got going for them?
Well, being Nepal's first and leading digital wallet gives them a huge first-mover advantage. Years of building a loyal user base.
Right.
Bolstered by that staggering user base, over 6 million users, and that vast merchant network, over 300,000 locations. Unparalleled reach.
Strong brand recognition, too, I imagine.
Definitely. Strong brand recognition and deep trust, built over years, invaluable in financial services. Plus, extensive integration with major banks and services makes them super convenient. And, of course, consistent regulatory compliance with NRB provides that solid foundation.
Okay, what about internal weaknesses? Areas for improvement.
The information points out they still have limited reach in some remote rural areas. That's both an untapped market and an operational challenge given infrastructure limits.
Connectivity issue.
Exactly. Their dependence on internet and smartphones means connectivity or device access can still be barriers for some. They've also had occasional app glitches or slow response times.
Which can be really frustrating for users. We've all been there.
Yeah, praying for the loading circle to disappear. Also, their current limited international payment options could be a constraint, especially given Nepal's reliance on remittances. And finally, stiff competition is aggressively offering better user incentives, cashback, discounts. So ESOA needs to work hard to retain users.
Okay, externally. What opportunities can they seize for growth?
Several promising avenues. clear potential for expansion into those untapped rural markets, maybe leveraging their agent network.
Bridging the digital divide.
The booming e-commerce sector and rising smartphone use provide a natural growth path. More people shopping and transacting online.
Right.
Cross-border remittance partnerships, given Nepal's diaspora, offer an enormous opportunity to facilitate money transfers from abroad directly into wallets, streamlining a critical economic flow.
Big potential there.
And collaboration with the government for public service payments could integrate ISOA even deeper into the national infrastructure, make it indispensable for civic life.
And finally, the external threats and challenges they face.
High-level competition, definitely. Kulti, IME Pay, Connect to PS, Nepal Pay, all vying for the same digital pie.
Crowded space.
Perhaps the biggest threat, cybersecurity risks and data breaches. A major breach could devastate user trust, which is so hard to rebuild.
Existential threat for any digital finance company.
Changing NRB regulations or restrictions can quickly alter their operating landscape, requiring swift, costly adaptation. And there's that subtle long-term threat of tech-savvy users switching to global apps like Google Pay or Apple Pay if they offer superior features or wider acceptance in Nepal eventually.
Eroding that homegrown advantage, it's a constant battle.
On multiple fronts. Now, we touched on PESEL earlier as a framework. Let's quickly highlight the key points applied directly to ISUA from the source.
Bring it on for them.
Politically, government support is a tailwind, but heavy NRB regulation means balancing agility with compliance. Economically, propelled by growing digital payments and more users online, creating a fertile market.
Okay.
Socially, youth embrace online payments, but a challenge and opportunity lies with older demographics still trusting cash. Requires outreach, education, technologically. Mobile internet growth creates possibilities, but demands relentless security and rapid updates.
Right.
Legally, must follow strict banking rules, KYC, data protection paramount for trust. Environmentally, positioned to promote paperless payments, eco-friendly practices, reducing travel for bill payments, aligns with global sustainability.
Got it. And customer service and feedback, how important is that?
Incredibly vital, especially when handling people's money. It's a direct line to understanding user experience, identifying pain points, building that sacred trust.
How do they handle it?
The info says eSiwa offers support via multiple channels, toll-free numbers, email, phone, aiming for comprehensive assistance. Users can report fraud or issues within 45 days, a clear time frame for resolution.
That's good. What's the feedback like?
Generally positive for convenience and service range. But the source also notes some recurring complaints. Mainly instances of delayed transfers, very frustrating in finance, and critically slow customer response times. These are areas needing immediate, continuous improvement to maintain satisfaction and trust.
Definitely need to address those.
And the source provides real-world examples underscoring this constant scanning need. A service disruption, March 10, 2025, 3 hours downtime. Raised reliability concerns showed the need for robust infrastructure.
Ouch. Downtime is bad news.
But on a positive note, April 2025 saw a major collaboration with MoneyGram. Global remittances direct to Nepali bank accounts via ISOA. Huge move, tapping into that massive remittance economy.
Smart partnership.
Also in April 25, a partnership with Nepal SBI Bank, boosting services, direct wallet load, fund transfers, solidifying banking ties.
Strengthening the ecosystem.
However, April 25 also brought a stark reminder of the dangers. A significant phishing scam. Someone arrested for hacking over 4,000 Isera accounts, stealing Res 10.2 million using fake SMS links.
Wow, that's serious.
Highlights the severe, ever-present cybersecurity risk they must constantly combat and educate users about. Shows the environment presents both massive opportunities and evolving threats. It's a societal challenge, too, about digital literacy. #8. Key trends shaping ISOA's future.
Okay, so these larger trends we've discussed, they aren't just isolated events, are they? They represent these profound shifts ISOA must capitalize on or adapt to.
Absolutely, for long-term success. First, that increasing smartphone use across Nepal, it's like a tidal wave.
Making mobile wallets accessible to more people.
Dramatically expands their addressable market, unlocks new demographics. Second, the explosive growth of e-commerce.
Online shopping keeps rising.
And ISOA is perfectly positioned as a trusted, convenient payment method, becoming integral to that digital marketplace.
Good.
The preference for contactless payments, Surged after COVID, right? It's driving a fundamental, lasting shift to cashless transactions. Directly benefits ISWA's core offering.
A permanent change in behavior.
Seems like it. And finally, the youth demographic. Rapidly, enthusiastically shifting to digital wallets. They're tech-friendly, choose wallets for convenience, cashback, speed, represents a crucial high-growth demographic for ISWA's future, the digital natives.
Right. Despite being the pioneer, ISWA faces stiff competition. Let's briefly look at the main rivals mentioned. Who are they up against?
Good idea. First up, Culti. Described as youth-focused, known for aggressive cashback offers, active social media campaigns, popular with younger, budget-conscious users.
Targeting a specific niche, effectively.
Then there's IME Pay, backed by the IME Group, a big name in Nepal's finance sector. Their big advantage. An extensive remittance network leveraging their parent company's presence gives them a ready-made user base.
Leveraging existing infrastructure. Smart.
Connected PS is another competitor, distinctly backed by the government. This gives it an inherent high level of trust. Specializes in large bank-to-bank transfers, seen as more official.
Different positioning.
And finally, we absolutely cannot forget the traditional banks themselves.
Incumbents.
Exactly. They have a massive existing customer base, offer direct digital services via their own apps, and benefit from long-standing public trust and perceived security, a powerful legacy advantage.
No discussion of digital finance in Nepal is really complete without understanding the central bank's role.
Yeah.
The Nepal Rastra Bank, the NRB.
They keep coming up.
Because they're far more than just a regulator. They are a profound shaper of the entire fintech ecosystem. Their rules directly shape the landscape, influencing everything from transaction limits to the types of services wallets like ISWA can offer, ensuring stability and security.
So what are some specific NRB mandates?
Stringent KYC requirements, transaction limits mainly to prevent fraud, combat money laundering, ensure transparency. Their policies also play a role in government support, sometimes tax incentives, to encourage digital transactions, driving adoption.
They do more than just regulate then.
Oh, yeah. They're deeply involved in vital consumer education and protection initiatives, ensuring users are informed, financially literate, their rights safeguarded.
That's important.
And crucially, NRB actively contributes to developing the underlying digital infrastructure, fostering a secure, robust, efficient environment where digital payments can thrive and scale. They're the silent yet profoundly impactful backbone.
Okay, beyond existing tech, what's really on the horizon for fintech? What does ISWA need to be watching, evaluating, maybe adopting?
Bleeding edge stuff.
Yeah. Your material points to several trends that could fundamentally reshape payments. QR code-based payment already widespread, but continues to evolve, expand applications, becoming ubiquitous.
That's growing.
Then, rapid advancement in biometric login. Fingerprint, facial recognition, enhances security and streamlines login. Faster, more intuitive.
Convenience plus security. Good combo.
The use of artificial intelligence, poised to revolutionize fintech sophisticated fraud detection, personalized financial advice, intelligent customer support.
AI is everywhere now.
And finally, maybe the most disruptive potential trend, the introduction of digital currency, possibly even a central bank digital currency, a CBDC.
That would be huge.
Could fundamentally alter the entire payment landscape. Require companies like ISWA to adapt core services, infrastructure significantly, maybe even rethink their whole business model, a horizon they absolutely must keep in sharp focus.
Right. Despite all their success, ISWA isn't without significant hurdles, are they? These are challenges they have to actively, continuously address.
What are the main ones listed?
First, as we've said, the constant threat of new competitors. Entering the market, vying aggressively for market share, sometimes with disruptive innovations or pricing.
Always looking over their shoulder.
Then the challenge of low rural awareness. Smartphone use is up, but deep understanding, trust, consistent usage of wallets might still be limited in remote areas, hinders deeper adoption.
Bridging that last mile.
Cybersecurity remains a top-tier existential concern. Constant evolution hacking demands continuous, substantial investment in security, threat detection, user education.
Can't let their guard down.
Occasional technical glitches, though maybe minor, can severely impact user experience, erode trust, needs robust IT, fast resolutions.
User patience is thin with tech glitches.
And finally, transaction limits and fees. While often necessary for regulation and revenue, they can sometimes deter users from larger or frequent transactions. It's a balance EC, has to strike control versus convenience and cost. A complex tightrope walk.
Okay, so what does all this incredibly detailed info really mean? for eSIWA, for understanding dynamic digital economies. Let's distill the essence of our deep dive into some core takeaways.
Let's boil it down.
First key takeaway. eSIWA, as the leader, must regularly and rigorously scan its entire marketing environment. It's not a choice. It's an absolute imperative for survival, growth, relevance.
Constant vigilance.
Second, both the microenvironment, those immediate factors, and the broader macro environment, those pestle forces, are equally important. Both need meticulous attention. Both present unique challenges and opportunities.
Gotta watch both near and far.
Third, uncertainty isn't just common, it's inherent in this kind of market. But crucially, eSIWA has and uses sophisticated tools to manage it. SWOT, PESTLE, customer feedback loops. These provide critical clarity in a complex landscape.
Tools to navigate the fog.
And finally, most importantly, this consistent, systematic, proactive environmental scanning directly leads to better, more informed decision-making, and ultimately to sustained, resilient growth. It's the engine of their agility, their innovation, their resilience.
Couldn't agree more. You know, this deep dive into eSIWA's operational environment really reveals that digital transformation isn't just about technology. It's a constant, intricate dance between audacious innovation, meticulous regulation, and a deep, evolving understanding of human behavior. And it raises an important, maybe even profound question for all of us, really. As digital payments become ever more pervasive, integrated into the fabric of society, how will nations, how will companies balance that undeniable convenience with critical ethical issues like individual privacy? And perhaps most importantly, genuine financial inclusion for everyone.
That's a big one.
Even those who might not own smartphones or live in digitally connected areas, ensuring no one is inadvertently left behind in this digital revolution. Well, that's a challenge that looms large, I think.
That is a powerful thought to ponder, and it really shows the incredible complexity, the human impact behind these seemingly simple digital transactions. We sincerely hope this deep dive has given you, our listeners, valuable insights and a much clearer picture of the myriad forces at play in the digital economy, especially within Nepal's vibrant and rapidly evolving landscape. Subscribe this channel for the more podcast.